This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
We didn't know, didn't even see the tide change. But it's a small, small world, girl, getting even smaller every day. I bet you think we didn't know, didn't even see the tides change. But it's a small, small world, girl, getting even smaller every day. You can think that small for a hollow. Washes up to shore, even in this landlocked place. It gets thicker, it's toxic, get it out of my face. The trash washes up to shore, even in this landlocked place. It gets thicker, it's toxic, get it out of my face. Don't be surprised if they don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Philippines Uncut. I'm your host, Buddy Kunana. Now, in this show, we talk about everything under the sun. And tonight is about one of our favorite advocacies, the environment. And joining us to talk about the state of our coastal ecosystems is an associate professor of environmental science at the University of the Philippines, my good friend, Dr. Benjamin Vallejo.
Good evening, Buddy, and thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you for coming here, especially on a rainy day like this.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you came here because this is such a very timely topic.
Yeah, it is.
And as we know that this year we have several big initiatives for the environment, and the Philippines is one of the countries really at risk or most impacted by changes in the environment and pollution and all that. No. Now, to start the show, Benji, let's talk about you. What is your background?
Well, I trained as a marine biologist, really, and in Australia. And my research really focused on shore ecosystem, so the beach, and also the adjacent coral reef areas. So that's the focus of my research.
Mm-hmm.
I was really studying mollusks, especially the giant clams. Okay, these are endangered species that are targeted for fisheries,
Mm-hmm.
and also it's high in demand with increasing as the economy of the Asian countries begins to grow.
Mm-hmm.
People want to have souvenirs, so the threat for collection is really big.
Of course. So,
Yeah.
But presently, where are you connected with? You are an associate professor of environmental science at UP, and then I understand you also have some dealings with private groups. You also have worked with private groups here in the Philippines.
Yeah, as
in the environment sector.
Yeah, in environment and conservation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for UP, I understand you're also involved in a program called the UP Science and Society Program. What is this?
Yeah, I had that program which deals with, we have courses that deal with how science and technology interacts with social issues.
Very nice.
So definitely the environment is well within that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, let's jump into the topic at hand, okay? What is the status really of our marine biodiversity? I mean, how are we faring?
Well, actually, it's more or less, I won't use the word seriously threatened, but I think it's in a state of threat. Yeah, in some areas it is really threatened, but in some areas not as much. But generally, the marine environments of the country are actually threatened.
What is the biggest threat to the marine environment?
Well, first it's overexploitation and the effects of urbanization along our coastal communities, because most of our population live within. Actually, if you use the definition of the United Nations Environmental Program, all Filipinos are coastal, because by their definition, people who live within 250 kilometers of the coast are coastal.
Wow, so we're all coastal.
Yeah, more or less we are coastal. Yeah, so urbanization in our communities is a big threat. Yeah, and also overexploitation.
Okay, let's talk about specifics. What about Manila Bay? You know, over the years, people wax nostalgic about how Manila Bay used to be. It used to be so clean in the 50s, etc., etc., etc. What is the status now of Manila Bay? Is it dead? Is it a dead bay?
Well, it's not really dead. I think it's best to characterize it as the ecology has changed from what it was before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For instance, there are a lot of foreign species in the bay. So these foreign species have replaced the indigenous ones. And that's
What are
what
these foreign species?
mostly are small mollusks. A species of tilapia is in there
Really?
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the bay?
In the bay, and
Okay.
they're breeding.
Okay, wow.
Okay, probably they escaped from aquaculture from Laguna de Bay and
Yeah.
traveled through the Pasig River and found the bay a nice place to live in, and they reproduce.
So
So-
it's not, I mean, there are living species, there are living organisms in Manila Bay. It's not a totally averse environment to life.
Well, it is alive, but as I said, the ecology has changed. So if we value the original ecology, then definitely this one is not as good as what we had before.
Yes.
And aside from that, there is the problem of pollution, and reclamation is another one. Again, these are all connected with rapidly urbanizing communities along the bay.
Okay.
So I think more than 70%, around 60% of the people are classified urban around the bay.
Yes.
So with more urban people tend to use more resources, and they tend to
And of course, there's more trash.
yeah,
you know?
trash. Okay,
Yeah.
and
More waste.
sewage.
Sewage, yes. And a lot of it, unfortunately, goes out into the bay.
Yeah, to the bay,
right?
untreated.
Untreated.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, let's talk about another case. The Philippines' premier holiday destination, or so it was, Boracay.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about Boracay.
Well, the first time I went there were no big hotels.
See, and
You
we're
see?
showing some
Yeah.
photos now of what Boracay is today, and these pictures are actually taken from a situation that happened a few months ago when it turned green. No, the water turned green. What is your take on this, Benji?
Well, that is actually a result of untreated sewage coming into the beach. And with the higher nutrients, you tend to have that kind of green algae.
What kind of algae is that?
Oh, that's Enteromorpha.
Sounds scary.
Yeah,
Enteromorpha.
that's the scientific name. And Enteromorpha is a bioindicator of sewage pollution.
Wow.
So,
So all this talk that people said, I mean, people were talking and saying that, oh, this is a natural occurrence. I remember the mayor of Boracay said this happens all the time. Even in my childhood, you know, when there were hardly any hotels on the island, this was already happening. What is your response
well,
to
it probably
statements
did
like that?
happen before. Remember, most of our coastal communities don't have sewage treatment. Even if the population density were low, still they would be
Sure.
yeah, releasing their effluents.
Mm.
Now that it's a bigger problem, then you can expect that to happen more or less, maybe at regular, seasonal, or probably it's a chronic condition.
So maybe it might be happening more often,
Yeah.
more regularly,
Yeah,
right? Is it safe to swim in that kind of water?
Well, it depends on the microbiological characterization,
Yeah.
and the DENR has its standards for that. So, well, since I'm not the one who took the samples, I really can't comment on the microbiological condition, which depends really on the amount of coliform bacteria in the water. So, perhaps the viewers can check out
Sure,
the
sure.
website of the DENR or any other authority in the government for the latest information.
I mean, at the very least, it doesn't look enticing. I mean, when I see water like that, when you go to the beach, you don't expect to see green water. No?
Well, not in a place like Boracay.
Not in a place like Boracay,
Yeah.
no? Yeah. And as you mentioned, this enteromorpha, when you have this in the water, this is really indicative of waste.
Yeah,
And then we're
sewage,
talking about
yeah,
sewage. We're talking about,
sewage,
okay, let's be more specific. We're talking about waste from toilets. Like
Yeah,
that.
from toilets,
from-
from domestic sources,
domestic sources, no?
kitchens, name it, anything that's related to
Yes.
human habitation, really.
And you mentioned a while ago about Manila being the mass, the over development, or the population density of Manila. And I think Boracay is actually suffering from the same thing. People have been to the island in recent years, recent months, and even aerial photography of the island has shown really that there are so many commercial establishments on the island.
Yeah, and most of the establishments probably would have the most basic of sewage treatment, like a septic tank. But you see, a septic tank, if a community is of higher density, then the treatment of sewage should be more or less centralized. But septic tanks are good for more or less moderate density communities. So with bigger number of people, then the
Yes.
more effluent. And it's simply that the island can't handle it.
It's not sustainable. I mean, it's reached a level where an imbalance has happened already.
Well, it reached a level in which the natural cleaning capacity of the immediate coastal environment can no longer handle it.
And that's not a good thing. No?
That's
When
not a
you-
good thing.
When you reach
So-
that kind of imbalance, no? What are the possible effects?
Well, of course, the first effect is it doesn't look good.
Of course.
The aesthetic effect is bad.
Scary.
Yeah. Secondly, it's something more serious is the public health consequences. You can get all sorts of skin diseases, and more seriously, if somebody swallows the water, some nasty infection may happen.
Because it really is indicative of pathogens in the water,
Yeah.
no?
Well, it's indicative that the quality of
Has
the swimming
deteriorated.
environment, the
Yeah.
environment for people to use it recreationally has gone down.
Yeah.
Of course, you can only say with certainty if it's a public health hazard after the microbiological assessments have been made.
What are the possible solutions here, Benji, to something like this? I mean, it's such a shame. Boracay was really the pride of the Philippines. Was the pride of the Philippines. Well, was one of the best beaches in the world. What is the possible solution?
Well, the solution is to put a sewage treatment plant for the island.
To service all the
To
establishments and all the
service
communities.
the establishments and the community there.
Yeah, I think the problem with Boracay is that really it underwent a period of mass development, almost rampant and uncontrolled. And I think it was former Secretary Mina Gabor during Ramos' administration who told me that during her time, she tried to limit the number of new establishments on the island. Unfortunately, according to her, her predecessor, I mean the people who came after her as Secretary of Tourism, were not as strict with these regulations. So, I think the boom happened after that.
Yeah, I was in Australia doing my doctoral studies when that issue of the first issue about the
This happened during the Ramos administration.
high coliform
Yep.
bacteria came about.
Yeah.
So I think the Secretary of Tourism then recommended that there should be a limit to. I read this from the papers. There should be a limit to the development of Boracay. But I don't think there's anyone who thought of putting a sewage treatment plant.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean, it costs a lot of money. to put a facility like that in place to service all the
Yeah,
establishments.
it costs a lot of money, but the establishments can easily have an environmental fee on the users of
They
the
should.
island.
They should.
Yeah.
They should.
So you can put that in the hotel bill, for instance.
Sure. Sure.
Because all of these treatment, well, anything that happens to the environment has a cost. So if we're going to use it, then that's what we call the user pays principle. So if you're going to use Boracay, then probably you have to pay at least to help ensure that the environment is clean.
Sure. Benji, we have to pause for a break,
Yeah.
but when we come back, we'll be joined by a group that is doing the same kind of thing, trying to save coastal environment, but this time in Zambales.
In Zambales, yeah.
Subic Bay, in that area.
Yeah.
So, guys, don't go away because more of Save Our Seas, Save Our World with Philippines Uncut returns. Okay.